Hello there everyone and welcome to Yvonne's Seaside Cottage. Today I thought I would just share with you this little needlebook I'm making for my friend Hazel. So I'm going to call it the Hazel Needlebook. And as mentioned before, my lovely friend Hazel, who I've had for a lot of years, I'm not going to say how many, it'll age me, she breeds horses. And in particular, Appaloosa and coloured horses. So I thought, oh, we're heading down for Ruby's birthday this weekend. So I've sort of dropped everything else to get this needlebook done. Got a lovely kit from Sobe in the colours, because I really found it difficult to find a nice little horse pattern. So I've made a start on it. So I put a bit of, stabilising in the middle of this, and cut, because the pattern of the horse was one horse here and the other horse there, I've had to sort of cut them both out and put them in so they're pretty even. So I haven't stitched the back there because that's where we'll sew the signatures in. So I'm leaving that till the last minute. And then this lovely, I think it's kimono material, quite a dense material to sew. And when you iron it, well, it just springs back. It doesn't crease. So it was a bit of a challenge to wrap it round. So I thought, oh, that'll be a nice little gift just to take down for her. So I'm madly stitching away. So I thought, oh, I'll turn the camera on and share a bit of the stitching with you. So I'm just sewing this around the edge. A lot of this I'll do off camera because I'll do a bit tonight as well, hopefully. So that's the start of it. We'll put that needle somewhere so I don't poke myself. So yeah, lovely little, so that'll be the front cover. Here we go. And that'll be the back. Inside will be, I'll put it in order. So this is a lovely doily that I've had for a long, long time, and I thought I really wanted to give it to a very special friend and include it in this. And it kind of matches really lovely. This sort of probably doesn't show up on the camera so much, but it's more of a coral colour than an orange. But anyway, I thought, oh, that's lovely. It was a bit big for the book, so I've folded it in there because I didn't really want to cut the doily up. It was a lovely doily. And I mean, she may want to take it out and use it, who would know. But these will be sewn along there, and then two little pockets on the side there. And they will be used for, this is one I've made some time ago for my daughter. And what you can pop in the little pocket at the side there will be, a little, where's something that I've done here? Oh yeah, one of these little needle books that you make. And you can just pop it in the side there because you'll have the signature sewn down there. And also I did have a little packet of buttons somewhere. Well, they've warped, haven't they? Yeah, well, any sort of type of little button or something you can pop in there. A nice couple of little pockets. So that'll be nice. I didn't make it too big. I find that some people will probably just want to have this like a decorative thing, and they'll get out a needle and thread and use it occasionally and whatever. So I just wanted something small. And in fact, from the kit that I got, there's that much material left over. I'll be able to make 2 needle books from it. So that'll be fun. And then inside the signatures, I've just got some lovely tray cloths. So that's a piece of felt. And you kind of got a lot of green happening here, so I'm not quite sure which way around I'm going to do this. And of course, if you don't have these little tray cloths, you can just make something out of material like I've done there, or this one here is the same. I've just used a piece of fabric, and you can make yourself something very similar to a tray cloth that's of course it's got the little dragonfly on there, naturally, my favourite, little dragonfly there. So yeah, you can make yourself something like a tray cloth. But I was very lucky I had a few tray cloths, and if they're a bit big I just seam them down there, so that'll be that bit. Then this bit here is another bit of felt for all your needles. Now I have used the pinking shears for around the edge here, and what I normally do, I don't know whether it's, my mother used to say she's a perfectionist. Well, I don't think I particularly was a perfectionist, but when I use the pinking shears and I do a blanket stitch, I know where to go. It's a bit of a cheat, really. So yeah, there you go. That's my little, I guess it's OCD they call it now, but yeah, that's my little thing, is I like to have my little stitches in a row, ducks in a row. That's a lovely tray cloth, and it's got that coral sort of colour in there. It's very pretty. It's pink around there, but you know, so if I've got to nip them in a bit, I will do. And then with the kit came some really nice little pieces of Japanese material. Now I have stabilised these because it's a very delicate material, and it just had to be done, otherwise it would fray really badly. So you can imagine you've got your, buckle that, I'll just take that out over there for a minute. So you've got your little needles there, and this will be a little cover, and you'll pop that there, just sew along there. I've got a stitch around the edge, and then you can lift it up, and that sort of covers your needles on that page. This page will have the sandwich doily going that way, so that'll be a needle cover for there. And then this lovely fabric, which doesn't fray at all, I'm just going to pop that, probably needs to be slightly smaller, but just here, and then you know, you lift it up and probably stitch down the side maybe, and then you've got room to stitch in there. So this is going to be a very simply constructed, I always say easy to make, needlebook. And then at the back, I'll just have a little button at the back here somewhere, probably here, just a little button here at the top, and do just the simple way of doing your needle keep. See, there's a little button there for your needle keep, and that's, for me, that's a really simple little way of putting your scissors in there. This one I've lined with a bit of felt because otherwise it's going to get stuck on that bit of lace I put there. You know, as you go along, you think of these great ideas, and then you go to make them work and they don't. And then the same with that, I've got the little flip up, my little blanket stitch, which is very rough, but still, yeah. And then you've got the little, in Australia we have these little babies, yeah, little gum nut babies, which I just love them. So that was a bit of ribbon there, yeah. So that's the constructive idea, quite simply, because, not because I'm in a bit of a hurry, because I really will enjoy stitching this tonight, but I need to get it crack on and get it done. Now the other little thing I wanted to show you, just while we're on these sandwich doilies, before I just start stitching that in, is, sorry, I think I just banged the camera. This little thing, and I think I got this from Purveyor Textiles, but I love the Australian scene on it with the sheep, you know, the doily. It's just lovely. And then this keeps all my doilies in it. I've just put a bit of silk ribbon on there because the other ribbon that was on it was a bit. And I think that, you know, I think Christy from Sew Bits actually made a little cardboard one of these. And I just got this out to get those, oh, that's me smelly thing, so that I spray a bit of lavender oil on them and they keep your doilies smelling nice. Yeah, I think we could make one of those at some stage. So there's a project. I call them my YTBA projects. So yeah, projects that are yet to be started. So yeah, so I've got some lovely doilies sandwiched in there, and it just keeps them really nice. They smell nice from the nice smelly thing that I pop in there. And yeah, so I'll do a quick flick through. I've been collecting these for a very long time, you know, probably well over a year really. So yeah, every time I see them, and that kind of goes in that pile because it's something that I could use in that same vein. Lovely bright purple. I like purple. Some people don't like purple. I love it. Another one around the right. Yeah, no, around the other way. Yeah, bit of a fluffy bit on the end of there. I think it's just probably well washed. This little one upside down again. They're really lovely. Now these, I don't often collect these sort of cross-stitch ones because, that's the right one, they affect my vertigo when I look at them. I don't know what happens. I kind of see pixelated things. It's terrible. And that's a little stalk, I think. Yeah, I quite like that. There, that's a parrot. Little parrot on there. Very cute. And that would make my eyes go, so, you know, that'll go on a gift to somebody else. We all have our strange things that we do. They're still in the frame. Yeah, that's a cute little one as well. This one's badly, badly stained, but, you know, there's still some good, somebody's lovingly stitched it. There's still good little bits to use out of that. That's a pretty blue one. Love me blues. This is lovely. I really like this one. It's just different. I like the kind of variegated blue around the edge. That was a real good find, that one. No one can go past a black swan. In fact, we had a black swan up the river the other day. I think the poor thing was looking for a bit of shelter. It's a very delicate one, that one is very delicate. It's got a few holes in it, but, you know, if you pop that in the middle of a needle book just to cover up your needles and had a nice bit of fabric. What do we got here? Let's have a look. Behind it, you know, like that. It's not this bit of a dull bit of fabric I've got on here, but you know what I mean. Show through. It's a Christmas one. Don't often get them. I thought, oh, yeah, that's a pretty little thing. It's got the most delicate little sewn flowers on it. And I do believe that other countries, this was never really a trend. Now look at that. Look at the blanket stitch around there. Oh my goodness. That sings to my heart, that does. And even all this, oh, it's so tiny. Little fingers would have been working at it. That's a pretty blue one. And then this is old as old. And yeah, that's really well loved, this one. But I just liked it. It'll go somewhere. There's a little blue wren. Is he around the right way? Yes, no, he's not. He's around the wrong way. There he is, little blue wren. Little blossom. Little leaf on the other end. This one, I'm not sure if it isn't machine done, but I like the colour. So yeah, that's my little collection. And when I use a couple, I try and replace them, but it's getting more and more difficult to do that. But I imagine that we could make something like this, so we might attempt to do that one day. I don't know what sort of cardboard we could use for it, but I'm sure there's quite thick bits of cardboard here and there. Yeah. So anyway, back to what we're doing here. Let's crack on with this. I'll have a little yak while I'm stitching, and I may pause the video if I think that you're going to get too bored. So around the edge there, and I might yet, I'll just see how this comes out. I quite like that. And I can't canthus stitch this because it'll pucker up the horse. So it will be very plain, and for that reason, I do have some trims. Oh, me and my trim. Look, because I do watercolour, I tend to want everything in a frame, and that's where that comes from. I've got a nice bit of lace that I can pop in there as well. So I have this really nice, which will cover up my, it'll work well with my OCD and cover up some of my not invisible stitching. So I quite like that green. So I got the green. So there's decisions to be made. So I've got a few choices. Then I've got this, and I was really lucky that I had this in my collection. That colour, I'm quite leaning towards that one, and maybe having a green to tie in with this green for the spine. Let's have a little look. Let's have a little nosy. I think that's pretty smart. I quite like that. Cause myself. I could also have, I like these little, that on the spine when I cover it up, but it's a bit big. Let's have a look at the green. You're not going to see it because it's going to be folded in half particularly. I think that could possibly work. Anyway, if I don't like it, I'm going to take it off. You know, you unpick it, don't you? Let's just have a little swing of this over. Well, you're not going to see the green. That kind of makes that really tidy. Let's do the green. Lucky I haven't got really 3 choices, because then I like the green too. And maybe that might have to go here, because it will blend in nicely and not look too disjointed between the pages. Not that you will particularly be looking at both sides together unless you open it out flat. So for this one here, it works well with, yeah, so it just covers all that stitching down the spine, which you don't need to do. I mean, if you like your spines showing, that sounds rude, doesn't it? If you like your spine showing. Anyway, rightio. Let's get cracking with this. I can have a bit of a yak while I stitch. I watched a couple of my other videos, and when I talk I stop stitching. It's quite annoying. No, I'm not too worried. I'm just sort of catching. I would call this an invisible stitch. Really, maybe it's ladder. Maybe you could call it a ladder stitch. It's not that invisible, but it's kind of the best I can do, which is pretty good. So it'll take me a while to do this. So yeah, so I went off again to the dentist this week, which worked out really well. It was kind of off to the specialist, and he's given me lots of alternatives to the braces, which is a good thing. And then I get in there, and I've never been there before, so she said to me, "Oh, Yvonne, I've sent you a form to fill out on your phone." And I said to her, "Oh, I don't know whether I got it." And this, she looked at me dubiously over her glasses, and she said, "Oh no, I definitely sent it. Is this the right email address?" I thought, I'm going to have to fess up here. I'm no good at filling out forms on the phone. I said to her, I'm not very good. You might need to assist me, because I had received it. I was telling a fib. You might need to assist me in doing this on my phone, because every time I tried to do it, the thing wouldn't send, and then I couldn't type on it. Oh, it was just a nightmare. So she said, "Oh, I've just really got an alternative." I thought, well, you're a wonderful receptionist, aren't you? And so she brings out a whiteboard and a white marker pen, and the poor girl would have had to enter all the details herself. But anyway, and so I sat there and filled it out, and there was another young girl waiting, and she's sort of looking at me going, oh gosh, this woman's quite ancient. She can't work it out on her phone. But anyway, we got it done, so I felt quite grateful, really. Got lots of alternatives for getting the teeth back into some sort of condition. Lots of alternatives for getting rid of the black fillings, which of course we all have in the day. So yeah, I was quite chuffed by the time I left there. Not a very nice day here, I have to say. I took the dogs out, and as I walked out the back door, it started to rain. So I thought, oh, well, I'll go down the basement, because I can get them out there and sort of stand under the veranda, and they can go out in the grass and whatever. Charlie gets out there and he goes, "You have to be kidding me." I'm not standing on that grass. I thought, oh no, what am I going to do with you? Because I knew he was dying to go to the toilet. Anyhow, I'm going to work my way back in this little rugged corner I've made here, which is, tuck that in a bit more if I can, and make it a bit neater. There we go. Just nipping the material on either side. Here we are, that's good. That's exactly what I wanted. This thread, I don't know how threads in a straight line get a blinking knot in them, really and truly. Anyhow, so anyway, A bit of a story about my friend Hazel, my lovely friend Hazel. She's still on the farm. She still rides. She used to do the endurance riding. We all did back in the day when we were young and fit, and didn't mind if we fell off a horse on occasion. And anyway, now she just sort of does trail riding. Look, I don't know how. That's why I really like that thread that Beck sent down. Come on, where are you? Oh, there you go. It's just getting caught on something there. Yeah, frustrating. Never mind. Part of the art of stitching, I think. This is a bit fiddly to do, but, you know, it's a rainy, horrible day. Anyway, the story of the Appaloosa horse. I wrote down a couple of things. Hazel, in her time, she's been a fabulous horsewoman. She still is. She's bred horses, broken them in, and it was her nana in England that got her started in horses. I don't think Hazel would mind me telling this story. And she used to come and pick her granddaughter up, and the granddaughter's up in a buggy. Hazel had this wonderful, wonderful photo of her nana, her grandmother, sitting in a buggy, the little cart horse, and it was a gig actually, and picking her granddaughters up. I think they're 3 granddaughters, and taking them out in the buggy, and that's where Hazel's joy for horses came from. So she decided that she would break in and tried her best to get. She's always loved Appaloosa horses. And the Appaloosa horses, I thought they were the Nez Perce Indian horses, but they're actually the Idaho's natural horse. And the Appaloosa horse in America has been bred with many other breeds. And the Nez Perce horses are slightly different. They're spotted, but they're a more rugged horse. And what happened, the Nez Perce Indians, see how I stop stitching when I start yakking? I have to keep going. In the 1870s, many of the horses, they had a big war with the military of the time, poor Indians, and the army, they nearly defeated the army actually, they really did. The Appaloosa horses were smart, they were sure of foot, they'd been bred by the Indians, you know, any that weren't any good, well, they just didn't use them. So they were a real rugged little, tough little horse. And the cavalry went, right, well, as has happened a lot in history, we're going to destroy these horses, and that's what they did. But, however, now hopefully someone will correct me if the story's not quite right, but Chief Whitebird managed to get across the Canadian border with some prized horses and some people, and kept the breed from there. And there is now a movement to get back breeding the original Appaloosa horse. And I must admit, they are a lovely horse. They're like having your favourite puppy around. And they have striped hooves, and their eye is like a human eye. I can remember Tex. We got back from an endurance ride once, and Hazel's husband Martin, he was dying of thirst, so he had his electrolyte drink, and then he went, oh, look, can I have a light beer? I'm just like, you know, I just really need a beer. Like, he'd done like a, I don't know, 80k ride or something. And, you know, not the greatest thing to have after a ride, but that's probably what you did back in the day. So what I've done is I got to that corner there, I really didn't know, so I came to the corner and then just shoved the needle back down that way. So I'm back on the same track of coming along here. Yeah, so this is going to be a slow old progress, this, because it's just not, see, the material just has a little mind of its own, but we are going to make it. There we go. That's got it. Yeah, so anyway, I had this beer. Next minute, Tex's lips come over the top of the beer bottle and he wanted to swig of the beer. I think think beer could be made out of barley. He could probably smell the barley in the beer. He says, oh, you know, Dad, you're having a beer, give me some. And he's licking the top of the bottle of beer. Oh God, he was a character. Lovely, lovely horse. Yeah, and then Hazel broke in another, she bred and broke in another horse called Shimmy. He was a great endurance horse, tough as nails. Oh, she was a tough horse. Yeah, not an easy ride either. So that was the sort of story of the Appaloosa horses, and they're just a lovely, lovely breed of horse. Really are. But the army, you know, when they confiscated the horses, or they made the Nez Pez Indians, they wanted them to be farmers. So they made them breed with stock horses, and that sort of diluted the breed. But I do believe that there is now a registry for the Nez Pez horses, Appaloosa horse, Palouse horse. Yeah, so there you go. There's a little bit of history for you, but I'm sure that there'll be lots of Americans that know more about it than I do. It was just that we had a love for the horses here and found them very good for endurance riding. And I think Shimmy was mixed with an Appaloosa Arab cross. So she had great stamina and was a real character. She's not a horse that you mess with though. She'd tell you off if you got in her road and she wasn't happy with you. Look out. There's a little knot in this, but I'm persevering. So this thread came with the kit, if anybody's interested. It's a lovely coral colour. I actually quite like it. I don't mind it at all. And there it looks really bright, but when you get your strands out, it's not at all. And it is a DMC, and it's 3705. There you go, if you're interested. Just thought I'd mention that. Now the other thing that Hazel really likes is owls. So I would have liked to have a nice little horseshoe to put on the spine. I like to put, you know, just a little bulb pin. There I've got a dragonfly made with love, but I didn't have a horseshoe or anything like that. But however, Hazel does like owls. And this is a lovely little owl that my family gave me a pair of earrings with this little owl, and I lost one. And I thought, well, you know, what I can do is just do the little bulb pin on here and just have the little owl, which is another one of her favourite things. And he's a gorgeous little owl. I was so peeved off with myself when I lost the other one. But I thought, oh, you know, let's put it to use. It's no good sitting in the jewellery box with one owl, is it? You've got to have a pair. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, that's the story of the dentist this week. So a previous video, I found in the op shop, rattle, 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 this nice little dish, which is the pin dish I'm going to give to Hazel, with the little horse and cart on there. And Hazel was born in England. She's lived most of her life out here, but yeah, came out here as a kid. So that's the little pin dish, or she can use it, you know, they're really handy things these to have by your bed, and you just chuck your rings in them. Very handy thing to have, really and truly. Anyway, so along my travels I found I couldn't find anything but that, actually, this little cup, which is of unknown origin, somebody might know, is quite a nice little match for a pincushion in there. So while I'm here, somewhere, aha, here we go. So these little things, which I really quite like, they make making pincushions really easy. So that's how they come. They're a clover thing. And this is how I make my pincushions. So I know that that's the actual size that the yo-yo is going to come out, or the Suffolk pup, which might, if I'm lucky, be that size. So what I'm going to do is make a whole heap of noise. And this fabric really did not quite go with that pincushion. And I didn't want to use the other side of this, so it's actually really quite hard to put your needle through. So that's the thing too, you know, if you're going to make a pincushion, make sure you can get your needle through the fabric. So where's this thing here? There we go. We'll keep that needle in a safe place. So this fabric, however, you have to kind of, where are we? Here we go. Imagine, you know, this is going to be a puff like this in there. So you're not really going to see, but it's close enough that you're getting a little bit of that sort of tone, but it's toning in with this part of it as well. So they're completely different, but I think the little horsies go and you know that can be a totally separate thing as well. So that's the idea of the little glyph, and I was quite glad I found that because it's hard to match the colour. This was just a standalone cup of the dish. So that's the next little job. We'll give that one a rest for a minute because I'll crack on with that off camera and then I'll come back, I'll pause it. So that's the next little job. I've got these in every size now. I just really love them. I just do. That's the way it is. That was easy. Got a bit of glue. We'll get that out of our way, all that crinkling sound. Yes, righty-ho. Right, but the other thing that you need to do though with these is there's a little ridge there, and usually I put a bit of, I don't think this will probably work on there, but so that I know which is the top, which I'm just going to do now, and then I get a marker pen so that I'm lining that up, otherwise you're not going to line your holes up. Just a little tip. So probably really would like to get much more of that in there. So I'm not even going to cut this, I'm just going to whack it in there that way, and then I'll see. I don't really particularly want too much of that, more of the sort of creamy colour. Leave a bit there. This is just a square that happened to be in some scraps I've got, so I need to line that up there. Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. Get that out of the way. Let's see if I've got that pretty much of the same thing. So this is called a 60mm one. No, not quite. Otherwise you won't be able to sew through it. Yep. I just look from the top. My little dotters. Snap him in. Where's the big kahuna scissors? Excuse me a minute, I'll just get up. Hopefully don't wobble it too much. Get the big kahuna scissors out. I think I got these at Spotlight. I'm not really sure where I got them actually, but they're a good pair of scissors. This way. Ooh, hopefully I've left enough. Let's leave a bit to tuck in. Here you go. I've used one of these before on camera, so. And I've seen Create and Craft with Christine, the lovely Christine. She's done some videos using these as well. It's doing, you know, the normal stuff. Pop that out of the way. And then yeah, away you go. I do have some thread left somewhere. Here we are. Hopefully that'll be long enough. Maybe. I don't really mind that it's that colour. That's alright. Let's see if we made it line up. So yeah. Yep, we're away. You don't have to tuck these bits under. See how I've just tucked that under? You don't have to do that if you like them sticking out. You do you. You do whatever turns your wheels, I reckon. Yeah. There you go. You could go around the other way, depending whether you're left or right-handed. I'm right-handed, so I'm going this way. Hopefully I'm going to have enough thread. If not, I'm going to be very disappointed. Oops, wiggled the camera there a bit. Okay. So hopefully you've got some lovely plans for the rest of the week. I always get a bit nervous when I've got to fly. To get down to Bathurst, you have to catch 2 planes. You go down into Sydney and then you catch another plane. Qantas are great. Qantas are really good if you're catching 2 planes. You don't even have to swap your bags over. They do it all for you, which is fantastic because Sydney's such a busy place. You know, if you've got not much time between flights and you're swapping your bags over, I don't think I'm even going to have enough cotton, but that won't matter. I'm not going to bother me much. I'll show you why in a minute. Yeah, so you rip through these really quickly. They're so much fun to do. I really like doing these. And I'm just catching that thread, holding that thread down there. Yeah. Now the other thing that I do is a lot of people put walnut shell in their Suffolk puffs or their pincushions. I actually put in this is Australian, I don't know whether this is merino wool, it could be, but it's Australian wool, and I get it from a lovely lady in Brisbane, and I don't buy her, I buy, it could be Corriedale wool, and it's got the lanolin in it. I mean, you put your hand in that and you can feel the lovely moisture, and that helps with the rust on the pins. But yeah, so she's a lovely lady called Wild Woolly. She's up here in Queensland, and I've just got all from. I was going to do a wool felting dog, so I've got some small wild woolly eyes and a little nose to do my dog with. But it's one of those, you know, yet to be, the YTBA project, yet to be attempted project. I have a couple of these. So yeah, and all these beautiful, beautiful wools. And I think these are merino wools. Yeah, so that's that. Let's have a little look here. What does this say? Oh, that's a warning not to suffocate your kid. Rightio. So yeah. But other than that, like I bought that to do as a kid, but other than that I get her other, it's not an expensive wool, and it gets here in it like, you know, probably a day when I order it. Anything from Brisbane, if you're ordering in Brisbane's fine. Anywhere else, you wouldn't expect anything in a hurry. I don't know what it is, just to get it up here. I guess, you know, we're 1,000 kilometres from anywhere, aren't we? Really? And down the end of the earth, you know, we're not close to anything. Uh-oh, what have I done there? Oh yeah, we're right. Alrighty, so that's what I'll be stuffing it with. But, you know, walnut shells are probably really good. Keeping your needle sharp. I just find the lanolin helps with the rusting. And they actually recommend, as a tip for anybody, if you're going on hiking or wearing riding boots, which I used to do, we used to stuff that lanolin wool down our socks, and it stopped you from getting blisters because you didn't get the friction on your boot. So yeah, it's a lot of hikers do that. They use the lanolin wool to stop the friction. Alrighty, just easy if you hold this up. Got my finger there. I poked my finger a couple of times actually doing this, not coming back the other way. Not a pleasant thing to do. I'm going to run out of thread. Of course you are, Yvonne. What's happened there? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something happened then. Mm-hmm. This happened to me another time. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, I didn't like that, did it? If you run out of thread, like I've done, give it a bit of a pull. Excuse me. And because you're going to pull the thread tight anyway. So there you go. You just pop it out and away you go again. I'm yakking, so I'm not concentrating on what I'm doing. Alrighty, here we go. Pull that tight. Give that a bit of a pull. Beautiful. That's what we want. Get this out of the way. I've got quite a mess happening here because I've got 3 projects on the go at once. This one, which I had no intention of doing, and then I thought, oh, you know what? I think I can pull it off rather than having to post it down to her. There you go. So you've got a cute little soffit puff there. I'm not going to pull this too tight just yet because I need to stuff it. That sounds good, doesn't it? Stuff it. Stuff it like a chook. I hope there's no vegetarians listening. They wouldn't be very happy like that. And I love my chooks. Oh, when I was down on the farm, I had show chooks, and I just loved them. They had a nasty rooster though. It was a mean thing. A very good rooster for breeding with, and his chicks used to. Excuse me, I got a bit of a dry throat. I'm just going to have a little slurp of water here. Might have got a bit of fibre from the wool. Here we go. You'll poke that in there. Now comes the test of whether that will be too puffy. Perfect. Look at that. I'm gonna make that puffier. That's gonna be puffier because what I'll do is similar to. Do I have that one here? Oh yeah, here. I will sew all these little lines in there and put a little frill around it so it's not going to pop out. So it's just about the perfect fit for there though. Here we go. Look at that. Easy peasy. Not hard. So yeah, because these come in all different shapes and sizes. Now the other test before I go stuffing it too hard is, and I'm not worried about the bottom bit there because I don't know if I can pull this one out. I might be able to. There's a button on the bottom of there which will help with the. You're not going to see that. I'm going to put a big button on there. Lovely big button. Here we go. In you go. Come on, you can do it. Yes, of course you can. Alrighty. Oh, I'm back again after a few seconds. Just thought I'd show you just how I pull the thread through on the pin cushion. So I'm just going to tie. I normally would use a perlé thread or pearl thread, but because I want to match the colour with the DMC thread, the embroidery thread, I had this big button, but the buttonholes are really big on it. So what I've done is, so that the thread won't pull through, I've just put a little button on that side, which won't make any difference. It just stops that from pulling through. So the next thing I need to do is adjust it to the right. So I haven't undone that thread from when we first made it. So we'll pop it's a very big button, but there's lots of good reasons to have a big button. And a couple of them are that you don't want your pins and needles to be poking through the other side of your pin cushion, especially if you've got the pin cushion out somewhere. You don't want your pen to go right through the pin cushion, and that stops it. Although I don't know, you might, which can happen. A needle can go through and then your needle ends up on the floor or in something that you're doing. So you don't want that. So once I've got the right shape, there are lots of videos on this, however. I think that's pretty good. So I just thought I'd mansplain, just how I put this together and how I make the little. So I'm gonna just run around here again and make this a little bit tighter. I've just had to adjust it because it's actually quite a big mouth on the. I could have made a bigger thing, but oh, this is how I make them. everybody has their own little method of doing things. I'm just catching this again, just to get it a bit more even around the outside there. And I'll whack a knot in there, because if that breaks halfway through, the whole thing's going to come unravelled. Because this is still the original thread that I used. Actually, I'm just going to pause that. I'm back again. There was actually somebody at the door. So I came back in and forgot to press record. So I've done a fair bit more than I intended. So I've put the... covered the button up. I've just glued a bit of fabric on there just to cover my untidy stitching, and then just ran the embroidery thread up through the holes in the button and back down the other side to make the little segments, and then popped a button on because I'm not very accurate at coming back, and that just hides the inaccuracy of my coming back up through the button. So I'm ready to put the frill on. I'm quite pleased with that. I think that looks quite sort of a bit vintagey looking. With this, it's got elastic in the lace, which is actually perfectly handy. But you want that to be facing down the bottom to add as the plug. And if you find that it doesn't fit snugly, you can just glue it in if you want to. Nothing to stop you from gluing in. That's perfectly acceptable. Most people do that, except for me. Where's a bit of trim gone? Somewhere here. Yes, here we are. There's a bit hiding here, attached to my work. If you find it doesn't fit snugly enough, just run another little bit of trim around the outside. Whatever thickness you need to make it fit snugly. That's often the case of what I do, which seems like a lot of trouble to make a pincushion, but oh well. I think my whole theory is that I just don't want it sitting in the cup. I want to actually be able to use it, pull it out if I want to, and have it as an individual thing. And I think Create and Craft with Christine does a whole series on making these little pincushions as well, and she always puts a button on the back of hers, and it really is a very good idea, because if you're working on the ground here and you might have that on a piece of something that you're working with, and your needle goes right through and into a cushion or whatever, and then you've lost your needle in there, or worse still, you've got it sitting on your lap or something and you poke your needle in there, and hell's bells, you lose your needle and somebody sits on it. That would not be a good idea, I don't think. But anyway, that's the whole theory behind the button business. So I've got the tape on the underneath side, so you don't have to be too fussy, but I actually really like making these. These are one of my favourite things to make, and I absolutely love collecting the little reciprocals for these. I've made some Easter bunny ones for Easter. They're fun. And any other little thing that I can find that... Actually, I saw a really good idea the other day. Someone had collected a little antique milk jug, and what they did was made a pincushion out of the jug part of it. And I haven't got a little jug handy, actually, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know. I could find one, but it'd take me a minute. I don't want to pause the video again and then forget to record. And the part where the spout is for the little milk jug, they put the little scissors in there. I thought, oh wow, what a cool idea. Really cool idea. So I won't overlook them next time either, because there's lots of nice little jugs, and I've thought to myself, oh, it's a shame, I really don't have a use for them, so someone else will come along and have a use for it. And yeah, when I saw that, I thought, oh, I've been overlooking all these little jugs, and there's a scissor holder as well. Yes, we are cooking on gas. Look at that. Yes, I'm happy with that. That's going to sit in there. Right, where are we? Here we are. How cute is that? Like, it's like a little lotus flower. Right, now the test is, get off there, there we go. Needle, it's not going through, da-da-da-da. Pin, yes, the pin's there. Ah, happy days, happy days. There you go, rightio. How cute is that? Love it. And what I'll do is I'll just get it, stitch around that a little bit more so that sits out a little bit more, which you can do. Is it going to go through? No, it is not. But if it is, I'll just run another. So I'll just run a stitch around there, around the outside of that, so it sits out a little bit more, and that'll hold it there as well, just around the top of the cup. So there we go, we've got a lovely little cup. Again, working on the Hazel Needlebook, I thought I just needed some turn off time just to sit and stitch. Just have a little quiet sit and stitch. There's some neighbours out there making a noise and thunder and lightning, so no doubt we'll have some barking happening. Never mind, hopefully I can mute it out. So I'm on the homeward bound of this lovely little Needlebook, and so this is the last little bit to stitch on. So the last little page. So I've done a little, thought rather than have the camera facing down, I just needed to sit and stitch. I was getting a bit nervous when I got to get on the aeroplane. A little Suffolk puff, and I made him a little stalk out of that nice material. Last Suffolk puff to go on. So I'm going to sit here, stitch it on quietly, have a chat with you. I need my glasses, so they're going on the end of the snoz. Tell you, what a day. My darling dad, who's 90, dear dad, he said to me, oh, I've been to the shops. I don't come and take us for lunch today because once in a while, the residence where he lives shouts them their favourite takeaway. And so he said, this, I think somebody gets to vote their favourite takeaway. The favourite takeaway this time was KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. So he said, don't come and get us for lunch, because usually it's, you know, our date day with Dad is Wednesday lunch, and then I go up shopping afterwards, and a lovely afternoon we do, because we've got KFC. But anyway, his friend, who we take with him, likes to pick up their vanilla thick shake. So anyway, he rings me up and he says, oh, look, we've been to the shops, but there's no little birthday cards with numbers on them for Ruby. And he said, you know, I really want to get her a card with her birthday number on it. 90 years old this is, and the dear little soul. I said, never mind, Dad, I'll whiz up to the shops and see if I can find her birthday. So I was up to the shops. There's 2 cards with the number on that was the right number. I thought, oh, well, you know, I've got a choice, one or the other. So I brought him round the card, and he wrote it out for Miss Ruby, bless his little heart. He said, oh, look, I'm just going to give her, she won't know, but he said, you know, it's his great-granddaughter. I said, you know, his granddaughter can go buy her a nice little present with it. But wasn't that lovely, 90 years old, and he's writing out the card. Anyhow, he phoned me up to get this card, and he said, we had KFC, but there was no vanilla thick shake. So it's a bit disappointed. So on the way, I went and got him his traditional vanilla thick shake, as you do, you know. I got over my hissy fit with the knotting thread. I think sometimes just the air temperature. I'm going to blame the rain for the knotting thread yesterday. So I'll hop on the plane tomorrow morning. 2 planes, 2 flights to get to Bathurst. So that'll be good. I'll have this hopefully all done. If I don't have it all done, that's perfectly fine. I'll just show you, you know, as far as I've got. And it would have been a nice little project just to share with you. And then just take some photos at the end, because I may have to take it down there and stitch it. But I'm on the homeward run with it. It's nice and bright and colourful and Thanks to Beck from Sobe for her lovely kit. The ladies down there, the lovely ladies, inspiration. Alrighty, that's the last little puff to sew on. So there were 2 Suffolk puffs with the kit, so that was handy, 2 vintage ones. I managed to have one of my own supply to add a third. Okay, pin in the little pin cushion over there. Now let's have a little looky-see here. We've got to assemble it. It's a bit like show and tell, isn't it? Now, which way did I want to go? That one? Okay. I didn't like the green there. And I've just used that lovely fabric, I don't know what it was. Stitch it all together and then you flip it up and there's the other side of it. So if you wanted to stitch in that, you could. And I probably will, because I've got some left over to make another one, so I'll do that. And put some nice little flowers on the corners there. And this little Suffolk puff with its little stalk. Yep. I'll come back here, yep. I'll come back this side. Everybody else does it. That's okay, it'll be sturdy. Loop through that way. Poke that under there. Because I've actually made a stitch, but anyway, that's okay. And then I just tie it there. So this will tie at the top instead of in the middle, but that's okay. You can tie it wherever you like, really. It's just the way the stitcher works. So I'm actually going to knot this. Just makes a bit of a different stitch, that's all. Left over right, and then I'm not very good at knots. I was never a very good sailor. Then right over left. That's the way. Yeah. There we go. Pull that letter tight, and then knot it at the top there. Yeah. You tie a little bow there at the top if you want to. Just easier for me to use that tool than try and. Okay, we're off. Yeah. So. That's good. That's good. Now I'm not going to have a little bow there. I could have a little bow there, couldn't I? Do I want one? No, I'm going to put a bit of thread over that. So you don't want to cut your knot too short because it might come unravelled. So leave a little bit of a tail and there we go, it's all stitched together. There you go, stitched together, but I've got my knot at the top, which is a bit different way of doing it. It's just the thread makes a stitch instead of a, but because my hands are a bit arthritic, using that thing is far easier. Okay, we're going really well. Now, here's my fussiness coming in. I'm going to put a bit of something over the top of that. It's just the way I am, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So, what we're going to do is, do I want white? I'm going to cover it up. Some white here. Oh yes, definitely the white. So, I'll stitch down there. Any of this that, when I'm stitching in, I think that you might think it's boring, and then that covers that up. You're not going to see my seam. Plonk. Yeah. Gosh, we've been going 20 minutes already, for goodness sake. For goodness sake. I'm nearly there though, I'm nearly finished. Rightio. Well, maybe I won't just stitch that just yet. I'll stitch the outside, which I'm going to do in the apricot colour, and then I'll show you how it's finished, and we can put the goodies in. I love the goodies. This is the part I love too, you know, putting all the goodies in. So relaxing. Now the funny story of the week. Did I tell you the funny story of the week? Oh, the episode with the armchair. Rightio. So, okay, here we go. So all I'm doing is, where I put that stitch, I'm going to join the back seam down there with that lovely piece of trim. Okay, yeah, that's good. That'll do. This is me working away in my craft room, loving every minute of it, living the life. Yeah, look at that. There's a needle threaded. Oh, is it my favourite needle? No, it's not. Oh. Oh. I'll probably pause this as I thread it and then come back. Finally, it's all finished. I'm going to have to speak very, very quietly because everybody's gone to bed. I've been working my little fingers off to the bone to get this finished. So here we go. So pleased with it. So the little pincushion came out really, really well. I'm happy with that. Happy with that. It's very cute. So that's, oh look, there's a bit of material in there already. So that's, yeah, super sweet little thing. And I did have to put the extra bit of cord around the bottom underneath to hold it there. So yeah, that came out really, really well. Happy girl with that. That's one. And then the little needle book. I'm really pleased with it. I've got little Hazel's little initials there with the laundry label, little Appaloosa horse, put some little flowers there, tilde button, you open it up, and if you open it out flat, there's the other little horse on the other side, another tilde button, the little flowers, little owl, he's very cute. There you go. So we'll have a quick flick through, and then that's it, and then I hop on the plane tomorrow. So we've got the opening page, little needle, thread in there, tucked in that little pocket. This flips up, you've got their little pins in there. Loving this sort of peachy colour. Over there, you can put more stuff in there if you wanted to, your little Suffolk puff. And that flips over there, that page, put the little safety pins there, room for whatever you want to put there, in the middle, and I did end up putting the seam down the middle of the, flick that over there, then you pop that up. That's a nice little thing there, little cover with some good old darners in there, which is what, most people just would use those. They wouldn't use a specialised needle. Little Suffolk puff there, little flower, and then another Suffolk puff. I haven't put any needles in there. She can put her own ones in there. And you get to the back and you've got little scissor keep. Pop that in there. Cute. In there, and then just in this little pocket, just some little thing of buttons. Yeah, so I'll put a few more odds and ends in there. I just thought I'd quickly film it, and then your little owl, your other horse on the other side, and then you just close it up. All done. I'm so pleased with it. It'll make a lovely little gift, and yeah, it hasn't taken me that long. Really happy with it. So anyway, hooroo, I'll see you when I get back and we'll do some more work on the Quilters workbook. Night night.